So now that we have our ThrashTone brushes loaded, we can go in here and choose a brush. Now these scales were drawn with the snakeskin texture. Let me show you the dragon skin texture. And I want to hide that layer that I had the other scales painted in with. And I'll make a new layer. And let's choose our paintbrush here. And the key with these brushes is you typically want to start out with a really light pressure. You know, if you want to start out light and then kind of build it up, you know, then you can add a little pressure. And the more pressure you add, the more these fill in. So they're really cool. You can do like really cool shading effects with them. Let's say I want to scale this texture down. So we go in here, click on the brush, click on grain, and then we can scale that texture down a bit. And also I want to change my brush size. And when I do that, it only changes the cursor size. It doesn't actually change the texture. So let's go back in here and painting really light. And then I can add more texture, kind of build that up. And the other thing you can do is, these aren't just for painting scales into dragons or fish or whatever. There's a lot of other cool halftone patterns in here. These grid angles are really cool. You know, you could just paint some extra texture on your type. You know, if you had that in a layer, you could paint a drop shadow under your letters. Oh, let me show you one more thing really quick. So say with that dragon skin texture, one thing you don't want to do with most of these is you don't want to start painting and then let up and then start painting in the same area, because that texture will start to overlap. So if you can, just keep painting all in one effort without picking up your pencil. One other thing I want to show you is, if you go into settings here and go into prefs and go into edit pressure curve, by default, it's just a flat line. And I've found that I have kind of a heavy hand and it applies too much pressure too quickly, therefore too much texture too quickly. So what I like to do is I like to bend this just like that, just a little bit. And that'll allow me to use a little bit more pressure without, you know, really laying on that texture. You know, some people like it the other way, you know, they like it this way, but that's all a personal preference. Kind of just depends on how heavy your hand is. What else can I show you? I don't know. There's lots of cool stuff in here. Wavy lines, that's a good one. That's how I did these wavy lines where the dragon's cut up. So, you know, it works the same way. You can go light, you can go heavy, you know, anywhere in between. So there you go. ThrashTone brushes for Procreate.